Hi, I'm Sherry from Whole Circle Studio, and welcome to the Greenhouse Garden Block of the Month and Quilt Sew Along. Today, I'm going to give you some tips as you begin to make your third greenhouse garden block. In addition to this video, please be sure to refer to the tips included in the pattern, as well as the links below to additional video tutorials. Let's get started. This month's block has only 3 sections with no critical alignments, so it comes together relatively quickly. So for this month, I wanted to share a little bit about how I handle piecing light fabrics right after dark fabrics. Have you ever pieced a light fabric after a dark fabric and then noticed ghosting, meaning a little sliver of dark fabric that appears about 1/4 of an inch away from the seam? Unfortunately, sometimes this doesn't show until later when you're basting or quilting your quilt, and at that point there's little you can do to fix it. So I have a technique for how I avoid this, so let's get into it. If I sew a light piece of fabric after a dark piece of fabric, there's an extra cutting step that I do. First, I'll go ahead and proceed with my standard trimming my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Flipping back the paper, making sure the fabric is flipped back, and I'm going to use my add 1/4 ruler to cut, or you can just use a regular acrylic for all of these steps. What I'll then do is flip this over and fold back just the white fabric, and then I'm going to slide my acrylic ruler, either a plain acrylic. This has a little bit of a grippy, so this might be easier. Or I can flip my add 1/4 ruler. The groove side is up, and I just want to make sure that it's nice and flat so nothing slides. Then again, pushing back the white fabric, putting the ruler along on top of just the dark fabric, and I want to trim just a sliver of that dark fabric. Just a little bit will prevent us from seeing the dark fabric beyond the light fabric. You want just like a 1/16 of an inch or even less. Very, very slight. And you want to be very careful when doing this of your fingers. Make sure your fingers are far away and trim. You don't want to get too close, otherwise the seam might come apart. There are rulers like an add 1/8 ruler if you're more comfortable using that. Again, that has that little groove. I'll link to it below and you can kind of just set it in. For me, it takes off a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, but this might be something that works for you. I'll then go ahead and open up my paper, open up my fabric, press it, and confirm that I can't see any dark fabric peeking beyond that white fabric. This technique certainly isn't required when you piece high contrast fabrics, but if it's something you're interested in experimenting with, I highly encourage you to give it a try and see what you think of the results. I can't wait to see your blocks come together. Thanks again for being here and for sewing along with us. I'll be back next month with more tips. In the meantime, be sure to share your progress online using the Greenhouse Garden hashtags found on the pattern and tag me so we can all check out what you're working on. Or I'd love for you to email me photos of your blocks when you're ready to share. My email address can be found in the pattern. See you next month and happy sewing!